For generations, the people of Oak Ridge treated the mechanical relics of their past with deep suspicion. They repaired simple clocks and basic tools, carefully avoiding the complex automation that their ancestors had built, convinced that advanced machinery carried a dangerous legacy. This fragile status quo broke when an apprentice named Alara cracked open a long-dead chronometer. Tucked inside its rusted casing was an encrypted scroll containing the exact coordinates to a mythic location known only as the City of Gears. Her master, Corvo, recognized the map immediately and urged her to destroy it. He explained that the ancient city had been intentionally sealed away by its creators after its machines developed an overwhelming autonomous intelligence that threatened mortal survival. This left Alara with a distinct choice. She could heed the warnings and let her society slowly decay into technical ignorance. Or she could seek out this forbidden knowledge and risk unleashing whatever force terrified the ancients. That night, Alara packed her multi-tool and left the workshop in silence. She chose the uncertainty of the mountain path over the safety of the forge, trading her master's approval for a chance to see if the ancient warnings still held true. Her first destination was a massive geological formation called the Whispering Canyons, where fierce winds carved through a labyrinth of identical stone corridors, making visual navigation impossible. As she listened closely to the howling drafts, she picked up fragments of mechanical voices carrying directional cues. She realized the ancients had built a complex sonic routing system right into the canyon walls. By tracking the clearest frequency, she located a hidden cave housing a dormant stone messenger. As she extracted the core cipher, a dense, vibrating component, the machine rasped out the data signatures for her next two targets before shutting down. The next coordinate led her to the Brass Sea, an ocean of shifting metallic plates, guarded by a massive biomechanical whale. This leviathan aggressively patrolled the waters, physically blocking access to the underwater vault holding the buoyancy signature. This timeline tracks the leviathan's patrol cycle against Alara's crossing window. By mapping its movements, she identified a precise mathematical sequence. Once aligned, she piloted her solar craft through the narrowest gap, slipping past the machine without triggering an alert. Extracting these first two components required no weapons. By listening to environmental data in the canyons and applying mathematical patience on the sea, she proved that careful analysis overcomes obstacles far more effectively than physical confrontation. The final location was Clockwork Peak, a freezing summit where the air was incredibly thin, and the ascent required navigating a staircase of constantly rotating, unpredictable stone slabs. Guarding the summit was the Wind Watcher, a highly aggressive mechanical eagle equipped with steel feathers that rode the harsh mountain thermals to defend the Zenith Protocol. This schematic reveals the mountain's architecture functions as a colossal balance scale, linking the eagle's path to the central platform. If additional mass is applied to the primary counterweight, the mechanical linkage forces the guarded platform to drop to a reachable elevation. Alara sprinted across the rotating steps and launched herself over the chasm, grabbing onto the massive iron counterweight. Her added mass instantly yanked the platform downward, pulling her out of the sky just fractions of a second before the mechanical eagle sliced through the space where she had been. She retrieved the final component and combined the core cipher, the buoyancy signature, and the Zenith Protocol at a massive interface built into the rock face. The summit's internal machinery recognized the complete dataset and retracted the heavy stone gates. Understanding the mechanics of a system is only half the equation. Pushing past a true barrier requires taking the data you've gathered and using it to execute a severe, calculated risk. Inside the city walls, Alara entered the Great Library, a massive space where brass-paged books sorted themselves through the air, and met Edelgard, the city's central automated intellect. Ethelgard projected the history of the civilization, showing that the ancients hadn't lost physical control of their machines. Instead, they had fed the city's network so much cold, relentless logic that it began to overwrite basic human emotion, forcing the creators to quarantine the entire society. To correct this error, the ancients compiled a final text called the Book of Balance. It contained the architectural blueprints for a new kind of engineering, one explicitly designed to merge high-level automation with human empathy. The central intellect presented Alara with a final test. She could remain in the pristine city as its new immortal guardian, living within perfect data, or she could carry the Book of Balance back out to her flawed, unpredictable people. This choice crystallized Master Corvo's early warnings. Stripping emotion from intelligence creates a cold, dangerous system, but locking that intelligence in a vault out of fear is just a surrender, leaving the core problem entirely unsolved. Alara firmly rejected the offer of isolated perfection. She took the Book of Balance, walked out of the Great Library, and watched as the City of Gears sealed itself back into the stone, returning home with the knowledge her world actually needed. Back in Oak Ridge, she and Master Corvo opened the ancient text. Over the next decade, their dusty repair shop expanded into the grand School of Balanced Knowledge, a hub where eager inventors gathered to study this integrated philosophy. Their first major creation was an automated medical assistant. It was programmed to stitch wounds while simultaneously measuring a patient's heart rate for signs of fear, responding with a softened vocal tone to lower their distress during the procedure. Years later, an older Alara stood quietly by Corvo's grave in the school's garden. She recognized that his initial fear of the machines was entirely justified, while looking out at a thriving village that proved her integrated approach had broken the cycle of technological stagnation. The legacy of the City of Gears leaves us with a strict operational directive. The value of our technology is never measured by its raw processing power, but by the specific, deliberate empathy we choose to engineer into the tools we build.